Everyone. First of all, I want to acknowledge the traditional owners of the country on which we meet today, the Awabakal people for us here in Newcastle and the Worimi people for our team calling in from Port Stephens. We recognise the continuing connection to land, waters and culture, and we pay our respect to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome. Doing our utmost to keep our community safe, we are streaming live from the Business Centre headquarters here in Newcastle tonight. Do note this is a live event, so bear with us if we have experienced any technical issues. They are bound to happen. I'm Leah Anderson. I'm a business advisor and Start House program manager here at the Business Centre. We are so excited for you all to join us from the comfort from your homes.
Hi, and I'm Martin McKenzie, business advisor, mentor and trainer here at the Business Centre. Tonight is about 5 hero business owners seeking to make an impact on the Port Stephens visitor economy with their ideas and ventures. Tonight we're celebrating their hard work and accomplishments over the past 5 months. The Start House program was specifically tailored for the Port Stephens visitor economy. It was initiated and funded by Port Stephens Council, sponsored by Destination Port Stephens and facilitated by us here at the Business Centre. The aim of the program has been to strengthen the Port Stephens visitor economy by supporting new and existing operators work through their ideas and finding viable ways to execute them. Tonight you'll hear them pitch these ideas. Now sit back and enjoy. Lena and I are really keen to share the talent of the participants. And now I'd like to hand over to our fearless CEO, Steve Waite.
Hi everybody, we're absolutely delighted to be involved in this initiative with Port Stephens Council. It's a great opportunity for us as an organisation which supports small businesses to support these businesses as they've been through this traumatic period, reshaping their ideas, reshaping their business and continuing to be viable at this time. I'd like to hand over to Debbie Roden from Port Stephens Council, who'd just like to say a few words on behalf of the Council and their part in this wonderful project.
Centre team and all the industry experts who worked with the Business Centre on this program. On behalf of Port Stephens Council, I'd like to welcome you all to this exciting event, which is the culmination of the very first Visitor Economy Start House program for Port Stephens. Tourism and the visitor economy, as you will hear more about from greater experts through the evening, is of critical importance to Port Stephens. It's one of our top 3 sectors, with the sectors that have been identified for Port Stephens as being of critical importance are defence and aerospace, manufacturing, and of course our beloved tourism economy, which is the subject of our evening. It contributes in excess of $70 million a year to our economy, so that's nothing to be sneezed at. While Port Stephens holds a really special place in a lot of people's hearts as a traditional destination renowned for its incredible beauty and nature, that's no reason for us to be complacent about Port Stephens' place in the hierarchy, particularly in the current visitor environment where competition is heating up like never before in the domestic space while there are limitations on people travelling overseas. Council identified the need to keep our visitor offering fresh and interesting so that we keep those traditional visitors coming back and keeping them interested and giving them visits, giving them reasons to return and experience new parts of Port Stephens. So we approached the visitors, the Port Stephens, we approached the Visitors Centre and in collaboration with them and the Business Centre in Newcastle, we devised a specific Start House program which reflects the visitor economy. So, and this evening is the result of that. So at this point, I would like to extend my thanks to the team at the Visitors Centre, at Destination Port Stephens, at Business Centre in Newcastle, particularly for their professionalism, for their creativity, and what can only be described as flexibility in action, as this program has that dreaded word pivoted as time has gone by. I'd also like to extend my congratulations to the participants on your tenacity in such challenging times. And I'd encourage you, rather than this to be the end of the program, to let this be a beginning. I look forward to watching how this evening and the rest of your business lives play out. Congratulations, everybody, and let the show continue.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Steve. I'd now like to introduce our honorary guest speaker tonight, a tourism powerhouse, Eileen Gilliland. Eileen is the CEO at Destination Port Stephens. Destination Port Stephens' focus is to drive destination marketing, destination management and destination development strategies to grow the visitor economy. With over 20 years' experience in the tourism industry, Eileen came from a successful career at Destination New South Wales, holding senior strategic position in regional tourism, sector development and international partnerships, as well as within the hospitality industry. She'll talk to us about why the visitor economy is so important for the region. And then I believe Steve might have some questions for her.
Thank you, Lena. It's a pleasure to be here this evening, and we're very excited to be involved in this program, to develop new tourism products for our region. Port Stephens is one of New South Wales' leading tourism destinations. We received over the last 12 months 1.7 million visitors who stayed 2.7 million nights. I think that a lot of people underestimate the value of that and the contribution it makes to our economy. And last year, this last 12 months, it was $673 million. That is $1.8 million every day of the year. So it's a significant contributor to the local economy. And when you think about it and you look at tourism, for every dollar that's spent directly in tourism, an additional 91 cents flows into the economy. So there's a great flow-on effect from tourism into other industries. So that's why you'll see local governments, state and federal governments all investing in tourism, because of that flow-on effect throughout the economy. A lot of people will look at it and not understand, like the gardener who provides a service to a hotel, an accountant, the people who provide the packaging, the laundry services, and it just keeps on flowing on through the economy into various jobs. Directly, it employs just under 2,000 people in Port Stephens. That's excluding the indirect positions, obviously, that it contributes greatly to. So it is a really, really important industry to our local economy, and it is a growth sector for us as well. So we have seen great growth over the last 2 to 3 years. Has been significant growth. We've been growing visitor nights by an average of 10%, and our day trip visitors have been growing by 17%. So we've seen really good growth. Over the last 12 months to this year to June, and that includes the last 3 months where we had COVID, we did have quite a successful year. We had a 2% drop in visitors, but a 4% growth in visitor nights. That was due to a really good, strong first half of the financial year, where we had growth of over 28% in our visitors and 27% in visitor nights. So we would have had a really strong year if there wasn't for impacts of bushfires and COVID-19. However, when you look at it, minimise the impact of that due to that strong growth in the first half. So I'm really excited to be here tonight and to work with you all when you're developing your products in tourism. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Eileen. And I can only reflect personally how much, when I was in Port Stephens about 4 or 5 weeks ago, how much effort small business owners in the sector and indeed throughout the town and the district were putting in to demonstrating their compliance and doing the right thing. And it resonated with me that how much of a experience this is for all of us at the same time, at exactly the same time, which is a curious thing of itself. But that each of us have got a whole set of different circumstances for which we can, call upon as we get our way through this. So we like to ask some questions around that of our guests. And the first question we always ask people is, how has this been for you? How's the experience been for you over the last 7 or 8 months of this?
Personally, I think just like everybody, it's, you miss seeing your family and your friends, and I had a new grandson born late last year, so I wasn't able to see him for 3 months. So just like everyone, personally, we had that impact and, not being able to connect with people. On a business side, working at Destination Port Stephens, it really started to affect us quite early. We saw the effects of COVID-19 starting in February because we attract a lot of international visitors. Yes. We get about 170,000 international day trip visitors. So we were getting a lot of cancellations from early February. So we could actually see how it was going to impact our business throughout the next 12 months. Yeah. and then it just flowed on to March when the travel restrictions went into place. So it was a big time of adjustment for everybody, not knowing what was going to happen in the future and how we're going to manage our businesses moving forward.
Yeah.
So it was a very challenging time, and I think there was a lot of people that just didn't know how to go about, what was going to be the future for their business.
So one of the things that we were very cognizant of was the way that businesses had to respond to a set of regulations and behaviours and rules. And I guess you guys were right in the middle of that in regard to providing assurance that the community was ready, the business community was ready, all of the visitor economy businesses were ready. What sort of things did you see people doing, and what sort of challenges did they have?
There was a lot of challenges. One of the things that Destination Port Stephens took as a leading role in trying to be a support to our industry and making sure that we were feeding out to them all the relevant information to assist them to make sure they were ready. Yeah. That was a big project for us, and we were regularly having Zoom meetings with people and really trying to assist them to make sure they were ready, especially once the travel restrictions opened up on the 1st. Yeah. There was a lot of things that the industry had to look at. For instance, you might have had a cruise operator that had lunches on board. They had to modify their business because they were no longer able to have a buffet on board, because they then had to follow the same regulations as a restaurant, even though they're a cruise tour operator. Yes. Looking at social distancing, how they would manage the numbers on their vessels and how many they could have on each one of those vessels. So every business was different, and they all had to adapt and look and follow the rules and regulations. We ensured that everyone was provided information from reliable sources, and we really followed the rules and regulations of Health New South Wales, and we always reverted back to that, and we assured industry that was the way to go. If industry had a specific question and they couldn't find the information, we would actually try and provide that support and source that information for them.
I think the provision or the assurance of that COVID safe plan was a good tool, a good instrument to help guide people. And I think initially people thought, oh, do I need that? But I think the longer this has gone on, the more important it's been to set out, what your risks are and what you need to do.
Definitely. I think that has been one of the great things that, our operators really picked up on an early stage to have a COVID safe plan. Yep. They also were encouraged then to what their COVID safe plan was onto their website, so they could assure visitors when they were coming here that they were operating their business in a COVID safe way, and people could participate or stay in their accommodation or go to their restaurant and enjoy the experience.
I think one of the first places I saw the use of QR codes was actually in the Bay, where I stayed. And I was so impressed by such an early adoption of what, is a long-standing technology, but used so well and quickly. And indeed, we use this here back at the business centre as a result of my couple of days up there doing some work up there. So have you seen any other interesting innovations or changes that people have made in your community?
Not really. They have been early adopters, and they've been really proactive in making sure that they are using all systems and all processes to make their business run more smoothly, and also to make sure that customers feel comfortable. So there has been a big pickup in QR codes, which really makes the check-in process really easy, and that goes right down to the local tavern that's doing that. So they're all really adapting to it.
Have you had different tourists coming to the area? Has it changed that?
We have. I think with a lot of people not being able to travel overseas, there's been a lot of very expensive vehicles we've seen driving around the Bay. And we actually had an issue with them not having enough electric power chargers for their vehicles. We had to try and source them from one hotel had quite a few customers, so we had to try and source where they could actually access to actually power their vehicles. So yes, we have seen a change in people coming there. It's been amazing. We're getting a lot more young people there coming up, enjoying the amazing experiences that we offer. There's a lot for them to do up there, and it's a lot of outdoor experiences in nature. So we have seen a big change. A lot of people that haven't been there before.
Okay.
So that's been an opportunity, and we hope that people really enjoy it and that they'll come back as repeat customers. Yeah.
Well, one of the things we briefly spoke about before tonight was that we're all in this together, and that isn't going anywhere. So we very much enjoyed working with you and with Port Stephens Council, and we're really looking forward to hearing the pitches this evening. So I've now got to hand back over and thank you to the judges, and the judges and Lena will get the show on the road. So thank you very much, and thank you everyone. I hope you enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Steve.
So we are almost ready to get started with the pitching, but before we do so, Martin and I would like to introduce our fantastic panel of judges. We would like to talk a little bit of how the night is going to run, and also, of course, the pitch rules.
Yeah, so I'd like to introduce judge number one, Leah Anderson. Leah started her own mortgage broking and financial planning business in Port Stephens in 2013. After a 25-year career in finance and senior leadership roles at Westpac Banking Corporation. Currently in her third year as president of Business Port Stephens, formerly Tomaree Business Chamber, Leah has focused and boosted the local economy through strong relationships, local businesses and encouraging collaboration. Leah has been actively involved in the community over the past decade in roles such as Chair of Nelson Bay Town Management, founding member of the former President of Port Stephens. She's very busy, there's lots to do and say. Vocational Director and past President of the Rotary Club of Salamander Bay and current Board Director and volunteer at Port Stephens Koalas, and I think there might be three of her at some stage. Leah joined the board of DPS in 2019 to contribute to grow the visitor economy, which drives economic benefits to local business.
Judge number two is Justin Hales. Justin is a CEO and founder of Camplify Australia and the UK's largest caravan and motorhome sharing community. Justin's 15 years experience in software design to enhance user experience, paired with his entrepreneurial spirit and passion for outdoor adventures, has seen him spearhead the growth of Camplify and the caravan sharing economy. To date, Camplify has helped holidaymakers make more than 550,000 nights under the stars and paid out over $25 million in higher income to its community of van owners. With sights set on making van life experience accessible around the world, Camplify expanded its global footprint earlier this year, launching in New Zealand and in Spain. Justin is also the founding member for Sharing Hub, an Australian community accelerating the life cycle of young and disruptive startups in the sharing economy marketplace.
Our third judge is Andrew Mcdonald. Andrew is the owner and operator of Hotel Nelson and Little Nell Cafe in Port Stephens, as well as the Signal Box here in Newcastle. He has been Director of Destination Port Stephens for the past 10 years, including the past 3 as Chairman. He has been a key part of key achievements such as completing a strategic plan for the organisation, developing the new brand campaign and signing a new funding agreement with Port Stephens Council. Before going into business, he was National General Manager of Operations for Best Western Hotels and Motels, overseeing 250 hotels and motels. Prior to this, he had spent 10 years working in several hotel chains in sales and marketing and front of house roles. Andrew holds a Bachelor of Business in Tourism and Masters in Marketing from the University of Newcastle.
Now a little bit about our 6 hero pitches. They are the strongest candidates from a pool of 15 participants who started the Start House program in the middle of COVID lockdown. We swiftly had to move all the workshops, all the networking and all the mentoring and training online. Can you imagine what it takes to keep working on your fairly more or less fresh venture through what we've just been through? There's been ups and downs, there's been blood, sweat and tears, but they're here. The goal of this evening is not to pick a winner. It's about giving these amazing people an opportunity to pitch their projects in a safe environment and supportive environment for the first time. To minimise the risk of tech glitches, the pitches have been pre-recorded. In saying that, all the pitches are all present live via Zoom throughout the event, and they will receive their feedback and questions from the judges live.
Feeling a bit like a proud, nervous parent. Our participants are brilliant in such different ways, so we won't be announcing winners as Lena's mentioned. They'll be receiving feedback and our judges will announce special mention for each of the 3 judging criteria at the end of the night. The evening will be split into 6 pitches. The participants have been given a total of 4 minutes only to introduce themselves and pitch. After each pitch, our judges will have 5 minutes to give feedback and ask a question each. So the main judging criteria are potential impact on the visitor economy, market potential and scalability, and finally the quality of the pitch's presentation. Before the judges' final deliberation, we'll have Justin Hales and Eileen Gilliland join Steve in a fireside chat about the current state of the region's visitor economy and how COVID has changed it. So let's start with pitch number 1. Lena.
Are you ready, guys? Let's do this. So for pitch number 1, I would like to introduce JC Whitfield and I Do Bespoke Ceremonies. You ready, JC?
Hi, I'm JC Whitfield from I Do Bespoke Ceremonies. I exclusively craft wedding ceremonies from the sentimental content that I gather from the couples, their wedding party, their family and friends. I've clocked up more than a decade working full-time as a self-employed celebrant and have been engaged in making Port Stephens a distinctive wedding destination since moving here 4 years ago. In earnest, these steps have been small and incremental because I first needed to find my tribe, learn what's unique and location exclusive, establish my reputation, and create real and strategic relationships. While pursuing this goal, I discovered just how grossly underrepresented, fragmented in both information and synergistic cooperation, and lacklustre our wedding industry in Port Stephens is. Information floating on pertinent websites is either irrelevant, missing, or antiquated, making it extremely challenging and time-consuming for couples to plan and organise their wedding here, especially if they're unfamiliar with our 26 beaches, the vendors, venues, and ensuing requirements. We're losing potential customers, and our rightful big old slice of that $4.7 billion market pie due to the difficulty couples are experiencing finding and then navigating through wedding-related information. As a result of COVID, there are new markets of wedding planning people to capture, and not enough is being done to make it easy peasy for couples and their entourages to say yes to a wedding in Port Stephens. The phenomenal upside is that I've additionally unearthed a peninsula full of creative, passionate, invested doers, movers and shakers who are chomping at the bit to turn what's out there from ho-hum to engaging, compelling and memorable. And I reckon I've got the ability to bend the ears and a few arms of some more people of influence in the future. So here's my solution. Handpick a wedding working party, a task force, a revival collaborative, a kickstart squad, a vivifying circle of local experts to refresh, revitalise, represent and promote Port Stephens as a wedding destination, which I will eagerly lead. One common theme will be to make it so easy and enjoyable to plan and organise getting married in Port Stephens. And yes, of course, I have a book brimming with my 3 a.m. brainstorm of ideas, plans and projects. Here's where I need your help. Number one, I need your connections to other hot-blooded wedding industry locals. I want the people that you're thinking of right now who you trust are willing and capable of becoming constructive collaborators, project contributors and steering committee members. Number two, I need an introduction to the go-to honchos and IT people who manage the web pages and teams affiliated with the council, marine parks and wildlife, Destination Port Stephens and Port Stephens.org. Number three, I need advice on how to best approach those next big asks to ensure my zealous enthusiasm and well-intended ideas for change are well received and ultimately efficiently implemented. Number four, I want your ideas thrown in the hat. What have you seen and envisaged for our wedding industry that I could potentially explore, investigate and see through to fruition? I don't want the sun to set on the interest, eagerness and momentum I can already feel building. However, I do want the sun to rise on more weddings in Port Stephens and for couples and us collectively to put our feet a bit up in the process because we've handed their dream wedding to them on an inviting and community serving platter. Hello, I'm Jaycee.
There she
Great,
is.
Jaycee.
That was absolutely brilliant. Are you ready for your questions, Jaycee?
Sure am.
Okay. Justin, would you like to start?
Sure. You mentioned that the market potential is a $4.7 billion wedding market in the Australian market. Where do you see that Port Stephens can really fit into that? Where's the niche for Port Stephens to be able to sort of get access to that big market?
I think the niche that Port Stephens has is our beaches because we are, as touted, incredible by nature. As a celebrant, I started in Sydney and then I've worked my way from the Central Coast through the Hunter Valley and then into Port Stephens. And I think what the Hunter Valley have done with vineyard weddings, cellar door weddings, Port Stephens could do with beachside weddings. And then it's a very different market here. We don't have the venues to compete, but we have some of the most incredible beaches and backdrops. And more people are opting for that very naturalistic, simple, unfussy wedding. So I think there's a huge piece of pie that's available for us to carve out.
Hi, JC. Wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
You know, I've noticed in Port Stephens over my time that I think you have identified a very clear problem. I think it is fragmented. I think no one has brought it all together. And I think you seem like you're the person that could possibly do that. I think it needs someone energetic to do that. So my question is, I mean, I've got a couple of questions. One of them is really, how have you identified that there is a really significant problem and that we don't have a lot of weddings, which is the ultimate outcome really, is that there are weddings being held there. And I think there are quite a number, and I'm unsure what the percentage, you know, what growth you would like to see or how much we're missing out on. But the next thing is, how is this going to be monetised by you? And if, you know, if I see this website and we see all these collaborators together and everyone's promoting this amazing destination and product, is that enough for a potential couple to get the information and then go off to the, you know, the suppliers themselves? So how do you monetize it if you're the one collaborating and bringing this all together?
So I think the first thing that I identified in researching all of this is that most of the information out there is either missing. So Port Stephens Council have a link on their webpage that is a PDF document about getting married in Port Stephens. It's not an active link. There's no document there at all. So I think if that document could be created, that would be a great starting point to teach people how to get married on a beach. The other problem that I notice is most of the couples don't even know there's, like I said, there are 26 beaches here, but there's probably 6 that are really orientated to be able to hold a great beach wedding because they've got great facilities, their accessibility easy, there's great photography locations nearby, so we can market that very, very strategically. The other problem is, again, so when you call the hotline on the Port Stephens org, it goes through to the Visitor Information Centre. They're very helpful. However, they then refer you to Port Stephens Council, who you get an events team, and if you get somebody who's in the know, they can maybe tell you a beach that you want to get married on. So there's no cohesive, succinct way to find this out. And one of the couple coming from Parks who wanted to get married on a beach in Port Stephens, first question I asked, what's your date, what's your location? They don't know. And long story short, they changed their mind and decided to stay and get married in Parks because it was too hard to navigate council's websites. There's no wedding orientated photos on there. The photos of Barry Park, which I think is one of the most picturesque, I just came from a wedding there this afternoon actually, and the water behind, I've never seen so many hues of blue. I even stopped at Shell Bay to take a photo. That's how amazed I was. So I think there's not a lot that needs to be done. I've already collaborated and talked to quite a few wedding photographers in the Bay who already have wedding orientated photos of these specific locations that could easily, they're happy to share them because obviously there's a credit back to their photography because it's watermarked. So it's really a lot of promotion of other businesses through their contributing. Obviously for me, as far as, so by monetizing, do you mean how am I going to?
Yeah, how are you going to make money out of this? I mean, you're putting energy into it right now.
Yep.
Is this designed just so that you can further your celebrant, career, or is it so that you can actually take a role in helping as a middle person to coordinate the wedding?
Yeah, I think I'm the kind of person, I can only do so many ceremonies, and the type of ceremonies I do, I only do 50 per year. So I can only go that far. There are a plethora of other amazing individuals out there who I'm sure would benefit from the wedding industry. Isn't just celebrant photographer. You've got accommodation, catering, makeup artists. You've got videographers. You've got the pre-wedding stuff. So you've got people coming in the day before because they'll make it a weekend destination. I think, me writing that particular document, obviously there's a credit that comes back to that. So I've become more useful. That's the only way I can really accentuate myself as a celebrant. The other idea is I'd love to see a drone style video because I think too, a lot of people see photos, and a good example is Zenith Beach, which from an aerial kind of view looks amazing. But to have a wedding there, it would be a nightmare. Accessibility is really hard. The beach goes down like that. It's actually this is the other problem, is when you have to get a permit, who do you get the permit through? Because some of our beaches are run by council and some of our beaches are run by Marines and Wildlife. So again, there's so little information. I think if we had something succinct and quite discerning, that would then really create and again, I just want to make it so easy for couples because wedding planning is stressful enough as it is. And we want people to come here And you know, it's Fiji time here. We want them to be in that state when they arrive.
JC, we're with you. We are with you. You're ticking so many boxes. I think you're getting a lot of goals for Port Stephens. A quick question, I think, from Leah.
Yeah, and again, congratulations. That was a really great pitch, JC. My question is, you said you wake up at 3 a.m. with all weird and wild thoughts and write them down. So what's your best thought that you've woken up with at 3 a.m.?
Here's the one I had this morning.
All right, share that one.
So I don't like the word COVID, but I thought, how can I use it to twist it into positive? And so COVID has now become an acronym for me on how I approach this, and it stands for change of values, identity, and destination. So when we're looking at, for example, the council page, which has all of the list of parks and reserves, what are the values that I want to incorporate into that website to be able to make it more wedding friendly, to make it more appealing to people who are coming in? What's the identity that I want to create around that, you know, because we want to see that council is supportive of people getting married in our beautiful public locations. And what's the direction, you know, how fast can I make this happen, or where are we heading with this? So it's a very simple, I guess, theme and idea. And a lot of existing stuff is already there. It just needs someone to take a critical eye and freshen it up, inject a bit of new content. And I love words. I love talking, obviously. And I'm very passionate about love. I love the Bay. I think it's one of the most amazing places I've ever lived in. And I just really want to see people enjoy themselves and lap up a bit of, you know, what I'm making the most of as well.
I think having gone to 2 weddings recently, one in the Hunter Valley and the one before that at Port Stephens, I think what the Hunter Valley does really well is market to the high-end wedding, and what Port Stephens does really well is market to the easy wedding. And so that was the 2 different types of weddings that I went to. So I think there's a real opportunity there for Port Stephens to really market to that high-end, all-inclusive, everything you want to do, everywhere you want to be. And, you know, at the moment, outdoor weddings are the go and all the rage. So, you know, I think that the time is potentially right now to make that play.
Thank you so
JC,
much.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, JC. Thank you so much, judges. That's brilliant. Now we would like to introduce to you pitch number 2. That is Jay Ross and Live Live. Over to you, Jay.
Good evening. My name's Jay Ross, and I'm here to share with you a new and exciting concept I have for Port Stephens. I introduce to you Live Live. Live Live is an inclusive multicultural music and arts event for all ages with a wide range of genres showcasing art, dance and culture. The problem. I believe the problem is there is not enough large-scale music and cultural events in Port Stephens that are inclusive to all age demographics. Most importantly, the younger generation. And there is not enough events that showcase local talent, the local talent that we have in this beautiful area. We don't have that well-known annual event, music event, that brings the community together, and one we can be proud of like other regions can. The solution. I came up with the concept Live Live, an inclusive multicultural music festival that showcases music from the past, present and emerging musicians in a wide range of genres showcasing art, dance, culture and performance. A day where we can step out of our busy everyday lives and stop worrying about our past or our futures and live live in the moment. Get a chance to have some well-deserved fun connecting with people from all walks of life through the power of music, dance and culture. Throw back to the past history and culture of Port Stephens. Be there in the moment to see the local emerging talent we have in this beautiful place that we look forward to seeing on the charts in the future. The customer. The customer can ultimately be anyone. Everyone loves music, and Live Live is inclusive to everyone. From families to the young, the old, music enthusiasts, tourists, and most importantly, the locals, creating creating connections to build a stronger community together. In the first event, I'm hoping to attract 5,000 to 10,000 people at the first event, and 30 to 40,000 people to Port Stephens in its 5th year. The concept is very fresh, and I've only started the idea in the last couple of months. I have a lot of planning to get stuck into. I've spoken to a few people in the community, young and old, who are excited to see what is to come out of this. This month, I have formed a committee board who will meet each month to discuss ideas to continue on progressing this event. In the coming months, I'm going out to the community and asking for ideas that they would like me to incorporate into the event, and talk with venues to collaborate with, and for them to get involved in hosting Live Live events. I know my idea is unique and will be that event that the community can be proud of, and will connect the young and the old together through the power of music, arts, culture. An annual event that will grow and become an experience for both locals and the tourists from all over the world. I'm not rushing into this until I have collated all the relevant information and considered all the logistics of the event. Yet I would like to see it come to life in the next 2 years. I'll start the event as Music in the Park for local talent to showcase their work, and grow it into a 3-stage music festival with local bands, artists, DJs, national and international headliners, markets, food vendors, and cultural performances. So with that, it's like I'll have a past stage, which will have all the hits from the past and the past artists. I'll have a Live Live stage, which will be what's hot now, and I'll have a local stage, which will showcase local talent and the emerging future. Who are we? My name's Jay Ross, and I'm a passionate member of our community. I'm a young person, I'm 20 years old, and my committee board is made up of a passionate group of people from all different generations and professions who will collaboratively be the decision makers of this event. I know that the people I've entrusted to become a part of this multi-dimensional event will become a major part of the idea coming to life and becoming Port Stephens' largest event, bringing people from all around the world. The ask, later on we'll be looking for sponsorship. I'd like support from the community, local business, Destination Port Stephens and Council, PR promotions, grants and contacts. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jay. Are you ready for your questions, mate? Jay, are you there?
Sorry, yep.
There he is.
Hi Jay, Justin here. Having worked with lots and lots of different events, specifically music companies around Australia and in the UK, it can be, you know, a great way to bring tourists into your region. I think one of the things that the regional, in particular, events do really well is they have a really great niche. So Tamworth has the Country Music Festival, which is, you know, all focused on, you know, Australian majority, you know, local country music people. You've got the Elvis Festival in Parks, which is, you know, unique event. Can you tell me a little bit more about, you know, how you see this being a really unique standout event, so that people will say, yes, I'd love to make the journey to Port Stephens to go to that?
Yeah, well, how I see it is, through like the past, like culture and history, and the local emerging artists and everything like that. That's something that I see that's really unique. But there's a lot of research to go, so I'm still looking into it all. So.
Jay, I think this is really exciting. I've been a long-standing viewpoint that we need to get something like this happening in our area. Being part of the organisation of Taste at the Bay, which has been running for 15 years, over that time, myself, you see the energy, the excitement, the enthusiasm when there is a festival on locally. So, but like you said, to bring music to a festival, I think it's and using local emerging talent is fantastic. My questions would be to be able to get the broader scale of people to one of these events. Would you be looking at getting like a headline act or somebody in as well that would bring that name that might get people's attention so that they would come along?
Yes,
and
definitely.
Secondly, my thoughts would be on what sort of venue are you looking at?
So I originally first have had a look, and we can I can have a look at Fly Point to start, and then grow that and do a DA, put in a DA to host it at Tomaree Sports Complex, and see it go from there. So that's what I'd probably do, and I'd definitely look at putting a headliner or a couple of headliner acts on each of those, or the past and the present stage, but the local stage would be more of the emerging, the future sort of stage. So that's how I envision it.
Jay, well done. You're not the first person who I've heard say they want to have a festival or a music festival in Port Stephens. I've heard it around, the community in business meetings, but you are the first person I've heard actually come to us and say, I've got an idea and I want to have one. So, I think there's a lot of people that like the idea, and a lot of people would love to see it actually come to fruition. There's a couple of comments. It's hard work, and as Leah just said, they've been running Taste of the Bay for a lot of years. We're still running an event called Love Seafood, and the problem is with events like this is in order to get them up and running, someone has to put in the man hours to get them started and run before money comes through the door. And I gather that's this is going to fall to yourself. So my advice is to have a committee, have people to help. And I do like your idea of starting smaller and starting out and saying, right, there's a local musicians event and it's held in the park, and start it off that way and see if you can build off that. So you'll need support. You will need to, all the things on your ask question there, I think they're all very relevant. You'll need to find out the people who want to make this happen, and you'll have some people supporting of you. And my question, actually, that's what was my question, is, how much time do you have to be able to invest to push this through and get it going?
So at the moment, I do work for council at the moment as an events trainee, but that will be up shortly. This event is my long-term goal. I did the big picture class during school, and my passion was music events. For this to come to life would just be my ultimate goal. This is what I'm aiming for, and especially for Port Stephens, because I just think Port Stephens needs that. I've lived in Port Stephens for 8 years, so I just think that this is the event that we need here.
Well, you've actually been involved with Love Seafood, haven't you, Jay? I think last year. There you go. You've seen a lot of the work that team probably put into to get that going. Fantastic. I think you've actually got a bit of an understanding of what's involved. So, good luck. There's a lot of people here love to see it. To see it happen.
I think the other big opportunity you've got at the moment, Jay, is that the New South Wales government is looking for ways for people to go to safe events, and also for musos to be able to earn an income again. So there are lots of grants out there at the moment, and there are also there's support from government who want to be able to put these back on for tourists. So now's a great time to start that application process.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jay. Now we might get ready for our third pitch. To do that, I would like to introduce Daryl Thomas from MCS Plus. Over to you, Daryl.
Originally in the Start House program, I was introducing an extension to the school's current international short-term inbound study tours to include teacher training in partnership with the University of Newcastle. Due to COVID-19, international borders may be closed for some time. So instead, I'll introduce you to MCS Plus, Borderless Learning. Our school is looking to teach students remotely and 3 times per year for 1 week, bring those students and their parents into Port Stephens for residential school. When students are attending school, parents will be offered day trips in Port Stephens so they experience our region. I'm a teacher with 20 years experience. I have extensive experience in teaching students with autism and supporting adults with autism. So if your child doesn't fit the mould of mainstream schooling, we at MCS have the solution with MCS Plus Borderless Learning. Who we are. Medowie Christian School is a leading independent school located in Medowie, Port Stephens. We're a thriving prep to year 12 educational community committed to delivering quality education. The new distance education offered through our MCS learning platform is MCS Plus Borderless Learning. Flexible, self-paced, individual tailored programs, on-demand supported online learning, focusing on relationships with teachers and peers, and pastoral care. The problem is the pace of classroom. Students not keeping up, gaps in learning, flexible hours fitting around training for elite sports people, relationships and pastoral care of students, cost of independent schooling, cost of boarding schooling, consistency in schooling for transient workers. The solution, MCS Plus Borderless Learning offers targeted learning, teaching to fill gaps in prior education, true individualised learning programs based on parents' and students' desired outcomes in testing, flexibility of hours, subjects, part or full-time or by distance, focusing on relationships and pastoral care, online forum, tutoring, engagement and immersion. The customer is students with disabilities, elite athletes and performers, children of military workers, parents homeschooling who would like some assistance with one or more subjects, geographically isolated remote students, or students travelling around Australia with their parents that may need assistance. The timeline, we were officially approved in September this year. We're looking now for expressions of interest, and MCS Plus Borderless Learning starts in January 2021. So in summary, MCS Borderless Learning, distance education preparing students for a rapidly changing world, individualised self-paced learning, focusing on developing relationships with teachers and peers, and provision of pastoral care. Students are encouraged to develop their unique skills and talents. We have 3 weeks residential school in Port Stephens during the year. So places for 2021 are now open. So lodge your expression of interest on the Medowie Christian School website. Thank you for this opportunity to be involved in the Start House program and to present to you today.
Okay, thanks, Daryl. That's brilliant. Are you ready for your questions?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Hello, everybody.
Who would like to start off? Perhaps you, Justin, would you like to start?
Sure. Well, firstly, I know that there's definitely a problem with people wanting to travel around Australia, and especially in my world, doing laps in caravans around Australia and being able to access really good schooling. I think there's only about 2 schools in New South Wales that actually really support you to do that. So there's definitely a need for that and a better system for that. So that's great. How do you see that the way that you've presented your solution there will help get people to visit the Port Stephens region to be able to partake and contribute as part of that overall visitor economy? Is that part of their enrolment will be to actually come into the economy and spend some time there? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, as part of the enrolment, 1 week every term, they come into the school, and so they'd come with their parents, spend a week in Port Stephens, and while the students are going to their classes, something that we introduced when I introduced international schooling, short-term study stays, a few days of the week we would take students to see the highlights of Port Stephens. So there's definitely those 3 weeks a year that we'd be looking for accommodation and boosting the economy. But also I see that it won't just be the visitor economy, it'll be the Port Stephens economy. So people that are elite athletes might want to come to the school 1 or 2 days a week and then do their other training, so they might actually move to the area. So I think it's not just the visitor economy, I think it's the permanent economy as well, of promoting Port Stephens as a place to live, and we're just offering learning a little bit differently, where you can come and do part-time schooling or full-time schooling or distance schooling. So we're thinking that it will be an attraction to the area.
And you mentioned there about children with disabilities. Obviously there's different needs for different type of children, and they have different learning requirements and also different ways to engage. So, how do you see that this will benefit parents of those children in terms of the way that they can work with their children in this borderless approach?
So from our research, a lot of homeschool parents are maybe unwilling participants. They homeschool because their child might not fit into the mainstream schooling. So we're hoping to work beside parents and maybe in the subjects that they don't feel confident in guiding their child. We might be able to step in there and do things like extension maths or some of the more difficult subjects, or even subjects where there is more hands-on, for instance, STEM, where there's a lot of equipment involved. The parents might send their child to the school for 1 or 2 subjects. So as far as disability is concerned, we have got a large learning engagement department in the school, and we already have some very successful cases of students that were struggling in other schools and fitting in quite nicely in our school environment. But by offering it via distance, we could slowly step them back into full-time education, possibly.
And have you seen any other models in any other parts of the world or around Australia that have done this well, with the integration of people sort of spending a little bit of time at the school in chunks and then doing the rest remotely online?
Oh, you got me on that one. We want to offer a flexible model, so we're hoping it fits in to be very flexible for people that are spending time maybe on their elite sports, or even as far as I've travelled a fair bit with my work and my wife's work, and we've gone to a lot of the same places that RAF families are. And so the changing of school regularly for students sometimes is detrimental on the flow of learning. And so if they're based in New South Wales, then maybe they can continue on with the same teachers, the same learning. So as far as actual research on flexible learning, I haven't got figures at hand, but if you've got some, I'd love to see them.
So yeah, thank you for that presentation. And I've got a question. I guess it immediately brought me back to when COVID hit, myself turning into a home teacher for 2 teenagers, and it was an absolute struggle. I wondered how effective their learning was during those couple of months when they were trying to do it, online. And I also struggled to be able to support them during that time. So with the whole online learning, what sort of support is there for the parent or the caregiver? And then how do you really control the effectiveness of that learning for the student?
Well, for instance, for a reluctant homeschooler, possibly we would want to work beside that parent and give them the tools to help assist. The students, by the relationships we develop, different from traditional distance education, what we'd be offering is more relationship-based learning. So they would have a daily pastoral care teacher that they would be in contact with, and then they'll also be in contact with the teacher. One of the advantages is that if you're struggling with a particular section of learning, you can go back and replay the online learning and then go into chat rooms and with teachers and other students to try and build where your weaknesses might be. So my idea of traditional distance education, the distance education I've done is I've received a bundle of A4 paper in the mail, and when you get to the end of that document, you finish the course. And so I think we've learnt this out of having to adapt due to COVID-19, and as soon as we started doing it, providing online learning for our own students, we decided that it would be good to be able to offer this to a wider community.
My question is how big can this go for you, and how big do you want it to go? How big a market of potential students are there out there to make this feasible?
Well, we because we're building on the base of our traditional learning at Medowie, we don't need large numbers to start off. The potential is quite large, and but to start, we don't need many at all. What it will do is allow us to offer more subjects to our face-to-face students, and it'll allow us to explore more TAS subjects to give, I suppose, instead of the push these days is for people to go to university after they finish school, and we feel that there's a bit of a neglect to the trades and warehousing and skills that not everybody's cut out to go to university, and we're trying to offer more courses that will get you to employment in the long run. And so I suppose more hands-on courses to so you can work out what you want to do with your life and what career path you want to go. So that's some of the rationale behind what we're trying to do. We've got a really strong employment section at the school where we help students choose where they want, what direction they want to go in, and we'll be building on that with this program as well.
Thank you so much for that, Daryl.
Thank you.
Thanks, Daryl. Our next pitch will be with Leah Mamala. Leah, would you like to take it away, please?
Thank you, everyone, for this opportunity to present my business steps to change to you. In essence, my company is designed to help people reclaim parts of their past so they can create the life on their own terms. All of us are born with an innate need for love, connection, care, and nurture. However, for many of us, this isn't what actually happens. We may still have a really great home and a great life and upbringing, but sometimes even just the slightest word or the way it was said or the way it was actually felt or delivered through our parents, our siblings, our teachers, our schooling, it just can at times create a sense of uncertainty. Our unconscious beliefs are then created through these particular incidences, and our unconscious beliefs changes our perceptions, our thoughts, and our actions. And this gets reinforced over life, but also continues for our entire life until we address the unconscious belief. Childhood hormone leaves scars, but trauma opens wounds. It creates a sense of uncertainty, disconnection, lower self-esteem, value, and acceptance of ourselves. We create enoughisms. We're not smart enough, pretty enough, old enough, young enough, short enough, fat enough. We're not enough, basically. And when we live from this belief, then all our interactions, our relationships and our work, and also our adult relationships with our children, our friends, the way we actually see the world and we relate to the world is in fact changed. We have a sense of reduced resilience and also creating a sense of shifting sands where things are just uncertain. Mental health and suicide is a result or a side effect of this, and it is increasing this year more than ever. People are feeling unsure, they're confused and they want change, but they often feel they're struggling or they're bucking the cultural and social norms. We want a different life. Our beliefs, actions and thoughts create what our experiences are. They are in fact related to our body symptoms, so diseases, as much as doing what we do and how we feel and relate to others too. So who am I? I call myself a personal change agent because I help people make personal change. I am an author of 4 books. I'm a counsellor, adult educator and a dietitian. So my programs are working at the mind, the body, soul and the spirit level to really have a holistic approach to supporting people to choose and create the life that they want from the inside out. Why now? Historically, divorce and singledom is on the rise and demographic transitions are constant. We have increased disease, stress and social, political and economic tensions. We're becoming a lot more aware of our emotional, mental health and our needs. And this year has created unprecedented, as much as I dislike that word, changes within unemployment, industry changes. We are asked and almost forced to reevaluate, reskill and adjust our lives to fit into the new normal that will never be normal ever again. We want more out of life, but we don't know how to do it well. So I work at the subconscious level. I work at getting into the unconscious belief, the hidden knee-jerk reactions, the reasons why we do what we do when we don't actually know why. When we disentangle the emotional attachment to the historic past, when other situations that are similar, we don't have the same response or reaction. I work with people individually, online and social media within the Reclaim Me programs. And each option includes talk therapy, strategies, activities, hypnotherapy, meditations. People who seek me out are willing to just really do the work. They want to look at who am I and what on earth am I doing? Why is my life the way it is? Why am I hurting? Why am I not connecting with others? They're ready to reclaim those parts of themselves, their self-esteem, their self-confidence, their self-love, their self-acceptance. They want passion again for their life, their work, their families. They're willing to heal the past rejections, the hurts, the sense of abandonment and disconnect. They're owning their own reactions. They know that the cause and effect, that it comes from them, and they're willing to look at why they do what they do, so they create different reactions. What I'm asking is to be able to give back to the Port Stephens region. We know that when people are healthy and strong, they do interrelate differently. So I'm looking to be a resource to organisations and agencies or individuals who are willing and wanting to invest in themselves, their staff, their clients, around their self-esteem, confidence, and a sense of self-worth. For instance, an employment agency, those who are willing to get back into the employment sector, but may not have the confidence, or they've been rejected for, a number of months, time and time again, not quite the right fit. When we work on our self-esteem and self-confidence, we can say, I can do this, and it shows through. Those who are going through separation, divorce, and still want to have a reasonable relationship, so for the ease of the transition, particularly for the children. Support centres, those who care for others who are in a challenging situation, to give them some of the skills and also resilience back. Healthy citizens do create healthy communities, and this is where the economic part gives back to Port Stephens. Healthy citizens engage with the community in a healthy way. Less issues with health, mental health. They have, if they're employed, more money, and they're willing to give back. And most importantly, we are investing in the future. When we heal ourselves, we heal our children's children. So it's not just about us, it's about the future generations and giving them the sense of confidence and self-esteem that they also need and desire. Steps to Change is about reclaiming the hidden, unsure and rejected parts of our psyche. I provide support and emotional healing for lasting transformation at the subconscious level, so that you can live your life on your terms with confidence and self-assurance again. Thank you for the opportunity. I love to chat with you. I'm looking forward to be able to speak with you and share my ideas further with you. Please reach out, and I'm looking forward to your questions. Chat soon.
Great, Leah, thank you. Are you ready for your questions?
I think so.
Okay, well, let's maybe begin with Andrew. Thank you.
Hey, Leah. Well done. Look, it sounds like you have a very needed and thought out service that can be useful to a lot of people. My question is, what can we do to help? What do you need, to operate more effectively in Port Stephens? I understand you already have clients. You've got people seeking you out. What are you looking to achieve? What is the next step for you?
I only just moved back to the Bay a year ago, so it's really about getting to know some of the people who are actually looking to match the service as well. Like I said, the employment agencies, I've been unemployed myself, so I know how difficult and how confronting it really is when you have so many varied skills, but you don't just fit. So it's helping them to see their value, and help them to refine their self-esteem, their confidence, and maybe even looking at their what they really want to be doing, so that they can actually shine through the different agencies to help them also to get the different jobs that they're looking for. Yep. That's one example.
Wonderful, thank you. Leah?
Leah, I was wondering whether, is this some sort of a program that you could introduce into the schools?
Potentially, but I don't traditionally work with children, right, or even teenagers. It's like the chicken and the egg. The parents need to be able to hold the space for the children and not the other way around. It could be done as a joint, different aspects could be done. It could be written for younger generation, but I'd rather work with the parents who can then hold the space easier for the children, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. I guess the question, the reason I raised it was, the numbers in youth suicides are really, just phenomenally increasing year on year. I know suicide is a massive issue, and numbers are increasing for all ages, but I just hear so much on the youth side of things. So I was just wondering how this could potentially link in. So do you think be more with working with the parents on that to be able to identify and...
I think so, and also because when we're triggered, you know, it's when the children trigger us that we react. So if we're not being triggered by the children, then we can actually understand and share our side of the story too, and say, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I felt these feelings too, and have the confidence to be able to do that. You know, and that's part of the challenge. Like, I've been down that path myself, and I know what it's like to feel so isolated and so alone, but also not having the skills to support my children at times when they've been on the edge too. So to have understanding and insight on both sides of the spectrum, it's the adult still needs to hold the space for the younger person. The younger person needs to know that they can actually go to a safe place, whether it be a parent, an agency, you know, their friends, other friends' parents. So it's still, they need the anchor, and ideally it's the parent, but if not, it needs to be an adult to actually guide them through that phase. I don't think it should be left on the adolescent's heads.
Yep, that makes sense. Good, thank you.
Leah, do you see that you know, Port Stephens can become some sort of destination to you know, escape and you know, have some sort of you know, mental health retreat sort of destination within New South Wales, and how would you see that working?
I love the word that you chose, escape, because I was escaping back to here. So it was a perfect lead in. Port Stephens is a magical place in so many different ways. Not only do we have the beaches, the nature, the location as an accessibility to so many different places, the airport we could fly people in. It is building into a wellness hub as well. So we've got the Wellness Expo next year, which also will, and we have so many different practitioners in the Bay region too. I do think we could certainly make it into a wellness retreat centre, maybe even, you know, a place where people, maybe even family units, can come and re-heal and relearn, similar to what they have in Blue Mountains, or even, you know, the hinterland of the Gold Coast, where there are centres with like a respite centre or a hospice-like centre to really nurture the whole body and to facilitate that change and transition.
Yeah, there's certainly done some great things with that kind of stuff in California. You know, what do you see as sort of the next step to exploring that a little bit further, and how would you go about that?
The next step for me really is to talk to the different people, the different agencies who are open to the concept. I am going to be a participant in the Wellness Expo, so building up my connections within that as well. We're also looking at a wellness centre retreat location this week or next week, as well as joint venture or an explorative idea. As far as the employment agencies, I think that's a little bit tricky because it is government funded, but I could certainly be like a referral person for people who have some of the financial resources, but actually really want to make a difference for themselves and get back into the workplace, or even change industries, or even change professions, because that takes a lot of courage as well when you're bucking 20, 25 years in the system. Maybe they want to go into their business, but they need to have the different mindset. So I can help with the undercurrents of that and give them, you know, a lot more insights about themselves, so they can actually make choices that are relevant to them and their family.
Okay, thanks judges, thanks Leah. It's time for our next pitch. Pitch number 5. I'd like to introduce, I had to get my mouth ready for that one. Introduce Alicia Jeston from Urban Connections.
I'm Alicia Jeston from Urban Connection Life Skills. We're based in Eagleton, about 10 minutes north of Brain Terrace, and we run an equine and nature-based life skills facility. We're working with small to medium organisations who would like to improve team skills such as communication, problem solving, negotiation and leadership. I'm the leading equine assisted learning facilitator. I have over 20 years riding and training experience with horses, and doing continuous training with my coach Adam Sutton. I'm also a qualified horticulturist. I've spent 15 years in commercial horticulture in senior management positions, training across Europe, and also training teams and coaching people throughout Australia. So our journey began in 2016, and it was actually within my own roles where I recognised a need for stronger connections with within the workforce, It was evident to me that united teams not only produced great results for the company, but they made for happy long-term employees. So in 17, we bought our property and began work. We're now in October 2020. We began construction earlier this year. We've just finished most of the construction at the moment. We're going for our occupation certificate in about 1 week. We have a conference room that you can see here. We also have an arena, which is where we do our horse equine activities, and we have a 3-bedroom cottage on site as well for some short-term accommodation. So I'd like you just to take a moment to think about what connection actually means to you. Is it text message? Is it email, Facebook or Instagram? Is it having a coffee and listening and observing body language, the tone and inflection in someone's voice and understanding what the other person is saying? So all of these digital forms are now competing for our attention, promising to save time and make our life easier. What's actually on the other side of this technology? Is it a disconnected workforce that would rather text or email than walk across the room or pick up a phone than empathise with their teammates? So we all know that connected teams are productive teams. So we'll work with your employees to improve skills such as communication and problem solving, to increase productivity, drive sales, and inevitably help your bottom line. So we have so much to learn from horses, and they're actually a lot like us. We have a saying in the industry that herds are to horses like teams are to people. So they require a really strong leader, just like we do in our work teams. They need trust and respect, just like we do in order to operate really effectively. So it's these parallels that actually give us really great learning moments in the arena, and it gives us the ability to parallel the learnings with the horse into our everyday lives. Horses are incredibly non-judgmental. They only react to stimulus. They don't care whether you're the CEO, they don't care if you're an apprentice, or if you're a male or if you're female. So we find that the learning in the arena really sticks because it's all experiential. I've included an example of an example itinerary on the right-hand side here. So when you work with us, we will customise a program specifically for your business values and what your team actually require. So that means customised objectives and outcomes. We gathered some data from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, looking at businesses with 5 to 9 employees in neighbouring councils to Port Stephens City Council. So we found the Central Coast, Newcastle and Lake Macquarie held quite a majority of the pie. So these will be councils or local areas that we'll be targeting in our marketing campaign. You can see on the right-hand side, we've got the visitor economy to Port Stephens City Council. So we really hope to promote the rural side of Port Stephens City Council. The bay is lovely, but so is the rural side. I know that myself, when I've travelled for business, that if I visit somewhere and really enjoy where I've been, I'm more likely to go back there with my friends and family. So I'd really like to see a return of the business visitors in in their pleasure time. And we're going to be working with local cafes to provide the catering. So one of which will be the Little Pantry Co in Mcdonald. So what does the future hold for us? In the short term, we're going to work on focus on the horticulture, equine assisted learning and yoga meditation as a really holistic piece of team building and that connection with people. We're going to work with the corporates and businesses, youth and hopefully into some schools. In 3 to 5 years, we'd really like to expand on the accommodation side of things, include some off-site activities, moving into the bay, and add the retreats as well, which would include women and family retreats. Moving on from 5 years plus, we really want to expand and grow on essentially all of the things that we've established in the first 5 years. So we would like to invite Port Stephens City Council or any other small business that would like to send one of their teams in to reconnect and develop their skills for a one-day team building and leadership program. We will work together with you to customise your objectives and understand exactly what you would like to achieve and tailor your outcomes. So I have included some contact details here, and I would like to thank everybody for listening today and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.
That's great, Alicia. Thank you. You ready for some questions?
Yes. Hi guys, how you going?
Good, thanks. We might start with Leah, if that's okay, Leah.
Yeah, sure. That was a fantastic presentation, so thank you. I do know from coming from a corporate world myself in the past of the importance and value that you can get out of team building experiences. So it's exciting to hear that this product would be available in Port Stephens. And also think it's a really brilliant idea to actually offer a group such as, whether it be a team from the council or, a team that could go out there and actually get involved in the activities in the day out there and be able to really help communicate and spread the word of the outcomes that they get out of that. So I guess it's probably hard. I know the question might link a little bit around COVID at the moment, but what sort of numbers can you get in a team? Is it just small teams at the moment? Are there large corporate teams? What are the numbers like?
Yeah, so our facility can cater, when we put the DA in, it was obviously pre-COVID. So our DA can cater for up to 28 people on site. We do have quite a large indoor facility, or our room is quite large, and obviously most of the activities will be taking place outside as well. So that, I guess, lends itself favourably in our case during COVID to be able to cater for, I guess, closer to the maximum amount of people. When it comes to working with the horses, we do really only like to work with, say, 3 people per horse. So there is a limitation there in terms of how many people we can have working with the horses at once. But there are ways that we can manage that with the organisations that we're working with in order to put teams into rotation.
I think it sounds wonderful. I've got 3 businesses I'd love to sign my staff up. A couple of questions is, firstly, I think that it looks like a long day if there's just that one program, 9 till 3:30. Mine are hospitality people, so they're going to be, they'll be interested for about 3 or 4 hours and then want something to drink. So, think about the bar. But I love the product. I think it's great. And look, I've done conferencing hotels before, and I've got a hotel that's got a conference room. We often have delegates who want it. They're always after off-site activities as part of their conferencing program. So that's how I could see how it could fit within Port Stephens. And we have a lot of hotels looking for that kind of thing. The thing I find really hard, and this is the challenge for you, is getting access to those clients. And typically once we've got a client book in the hotel, they've already organised their off-site activities, and they've done it via the secretary back at the office, and it's already done and dusted. So we don't actually get too much influence on that activity. So it's not something we can actually help within market. So your challenge is I think for your main business anyway, is going to those businesses and talking to people like us right now, and getting them signed up before they've actually made a decision to either conference overnight or come out on a day trip. My other comment and advice is, my daughter was into horse riding for about 5 minutes, and we went around various centres. And typically, I find that the horse riding facilities focus a lot on the horse, and the horses are beautiful and well maintained. And often the grounds and the gardens and the properties themselves, they don't present that well. But yours, from the photos I saw, they look amazing. I think being a horticulturist, I think if you add that there, and corporate clients, not all of them are interested in the horses all day long. I think they're going to love being at a facility like yours that's presented beautifully, and then that will spread the word. So I think well done. And
thank you.
And send for my details. We'll book a function.
Will do, absolutely.
Well done. That was a really good presentation. You had some really great data in there. I actually tried to Google this kind of thing a couple of weeks ago and couldn't find anything. So, I think there's a really good market opportunity there. I think just following on from what Andrew said there, I think one of the ways you can try and find some market share, and I've seen this done in Sydney before, is actually invite a whole heap of executive assistants to an open day and get them to actually come, experience what it's like, take them to some great accommodation in Port Stephens, show them what Port Stephens can be like, integrated into that approach, and that can work really well. So, I think it's a really great opportunity, and I think there's a need to bring people back together in a team at the moment with lots of people working remotely. So I think there will be a huge need in the future for people looking for these types of integrated activities into their work environment when more and more people start to move around the country a little bit as well and still work remotely for the same company. So I think you've got a great opportunity there.
Thank you very much. I did have the idea that I wanted to run an open day next year, so that is already in the pipeline of pulling things together. But obviously it's got to be invitation only because of COVID and the restrictions there. So that is definitely an idea that's floating around there.
I think as well, Alicia, the playing on that concept of the large animals as therapy is a great angle to playing with the team building for conferencing and corporates, and I think that's a big angle at the moment. I know I've got friends with kids who really change, their personality change when they get around a big animal, so I'm sure that works for adults as well. So I think playing that on the emotional side of it will really get sales.
It's absolutely amazing what it brings out. Yeah, I mean, the therapy side is well known and it's quite popular. But when we jump in the arena as, you know, a corporate team or workmates, family teams, things like that, it's really interesting the things that they bring out, because the horses, they just react. They have no judgment whatsoever. So it's, I guess, you know, I'm able to read their body language from the horses and be able to work with the people in the arena to uncover, you know, those deep-seated things.
Great.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, judges. Now for pitch number 6 and tonight's final pitch. For pitch number 6, I would like to introduce to you Katie Nicholas and Wedding Road. Katie, over to you.
Hi, I'm Katie Nicholas and the founder of Wedding Road, a sales and marketing business that helps wedding venues reach their full potential through consultation and education. So what does this mean? Well, think about a wedding venue you know and all of the tasks that are involved in that business being a success. Wedding Road provides specialist advice through years of knowledge to help those venues reach success. In 2018, Wedding Road began with looking after weddings for venues. Now, almost at the end of 2020, I have 3 venues in Port Stephens and Newcastle that I manage. From package creation, sales inquiries, complete customer journey through to the event follow-up, Wedding Road takes care of everything for them. It's now time for me to scale, but I'm bound by time and geography. So I'm turning to education and training, and I have that formula for weddings, and I'm ready to share my years of knowledge. So generally speaking, there are 2 types of wedding venues. There are the ones that employ a hotel that employs a general manager who are great at running a hotel, but their knowledge of weddings is limited. So they hire someone. Most often than not, it's a junior, and with a bit of expert advice from Wedding Road, they'll thrive. Then there are privately owned venues. These are generally made up of a husband and wife team, possibly chefs, that are dealing with a different set of problems. These guys are often spread so thin that an expert focusing on a side of their business that would otherwise have limited attention helps them to thrive in the wedding market. Successful wedding venues require a team of people with a diverse range of skills. No one person can do everything or be good at everything. So let's look at what's involved. Does print advertising still work in the wedding industry? How do they inquire, and what do we need to know when they finally do reach out? What packages sell? How do we get couples on site? And then when you book weddings, you have brides to deal with. How do you communicate with them all? There's timelines, floor plans, menu tastings, and believe me, that's not everything. I help venues find their pain points, analyse those areas and fix the problem for them. Wedding Road provides training on all aspects of being at the top of the market, from increasing your inquiries to converting the sale. I go through how to package up your offering so it's market ready, organise photo shoots. I teach systems to help with the high workload that you're going to have when I'm finished with you. Let's look at Port Stephens. We have roughly 15 wedding venues in our area. Each of these wedding venues, some more weddings a year, we would end up with an extra 75 weddings held in our region. If each wedding caters for an average of 95 guests, then we attract 7,125 people to the area that would otherwise have not visited. A domestic overnight visitor spends on average $246 per day when visiting Port Stephens. So let's time the 7,125 people now that are visiting Port Stephens by what we know they'll spend. And we just brought in almost $2 million per year to the area through weddings. This doesn't take into the account the lifetime value proposition. For example, how many of these people become a return visitor to Port Stephens? What's the new wedding guest lifetime value to the area? And for the venue, for a consultation, this is only a sale for life and that the venue implements moving forward. So over future years, the return will be larger again for the area. Easy Weddings is the largest third-party business listing website in Australia. Their research shows that in 2019, the industry was worth $4 billion to Australia. Because of COVID, 2020 is set to go down to $1.5 billion. There's lots of talk about 2021 being a big year, but this is only set to rise to $3 billion. 2022, however, it's going to double again to be a $6 billion industry. If venues in Port Stephens want their piece of the pie, they need to be ready. We as a region need to be ready. So I guess what I'm asking is that Destination Port Stephens, combined with Port Stephens Council, subsidises a health check in the form of a consultation for all Port Stephens. We as a region need to make sure all of our venues are ready when restrictions lift and couples start back on their wedding journey. It will be the Port Stephens economy that reaps the reward if we capture more than our fair share of the destination weddings. Thanks for your time, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, Katie. Those numbers are pretty mind-blowing, aren't they? Are you ready for your questions?
Can you?
Excellent. Andrew, Leah, who would like to start?
I'm happy to start. I've got a venue too, and we haven't actually gone for the wedding market, but one of the challenges with wedding market is the perception that it's hard work and the perception that you've got diva brides, and also the fact that they're typically on Saturdays, or everybody wants Saturdays and Sundays. And in my venues in particular, they're always full anyway. And so you're kind of working out, do we want the extra work for the small extra amount in revenue? So that to me is one of the main challenges in getting, businesses or venues that are on the fence about that market, if they're doing okay anyway, is getting them across the line to A, want to do weddings, and then B, say, okay, let's get a health check and use your services. Look, my main comment is I love your pitch at the very end there, saying you'd like Port Stephens Council and DPS to do a health check on those venues, and I think that'd be a great insight for those venues to see what they're doing well and not. And I'm sure you've got the competence and the skills to give them good advice, and I gather you would then sell services ongoing. So how are you going to price your consultancy for each of these venues if you determine that they're a good partner for you to work with?
So what I'm doing, so let me if I just go back and explain my business model for you at the moment. So what I'm doing for the 3 venues that I look after at the moment, I'm a contractor, and I look after that side of the business for them. Now, what I hope to move into is education and consultation. So that can be, yes, in Port Stephens, and that would be a starting point for me. But moving forward, I hope to grow this statewide and then all around Australia. So eventually, standing up and working with a team of Crown wedding coordinators from all of their hotels to work out what they need and how we can convert more sales in their bottom line. So I guess if your question is how do I charge a consultation fee? So I've got a few packages that I've created. So a health check, for example, that goes over 2 days, that's $980, and that you're looking at then, I guess, a broad spectrum of, first of all, understanding your target market for your venue and making sure all your wording, your packages, your website, everything is targeted towards that right target market. Then looking at analysing pain points, a strategy towards relieving those pain points, doing a website analysis, making sure that you've got good images and gathering a good image file, having some SEO guidance in that, steps towards organising a photo shoot, and then steps towards converting sales ultimately. So that would be a health check to make a pretty broad overview basically, but enough to come away with like stuff to improve your business.
That sounds fantastic, and I think that sounds like reasonable pricing. Have you started yet? Have you pitched this to any venues?
No, I haven't. So I've currently got 162 brides on my books between the venues that I look after at the moment. So, and that's when I talk about scaling and how I can do that. So I'm getting all of this in place, working on my packages and working on the education and consultation program while I'm managing my current workload.
Yep.
So when I go out to market, I'm all ready with that, because I've got to be really careful in how I scale, because I'm actually running a part of the business at the moment as well.
Yep. Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Well, I think that you and JC should just team up and create something together. I think there's a big opportunity there to sort of, encompass the whole approach to, Port Stephens as a destination for weddings, as well as getting all of the venues ready and incorporated into that one program. I think there's a big opportunity there, and I agree that I think the wedding boom is coming. There's so many people that have put off weddings in the last 12 months to the future. So those venues and destinations that are ready to go with everything and can appeal as a destination for weddings, I think will do really well. So I think there's a very big opportunity there, and I think that both sides of those things both need to be done in parallel together. So
thank you.
I just want to give some feedback on it. It was a really fantastic presentation. The numbers were really impressive, and the research that you've done on the the economic benefits broadly across the Port Stephens LGA and even nationally are really impressive. So I just think that that's something that whether Port Stephens can be seen, and from hearing yourself and hearing JC earlier as a destination for weddings, I think is an exciting opportunity for us. And I can see that a lot of businesses would benefit from having people coming into staying overnight, staying for weekends, and also highlighting our region. So as you said, they will revisit. They might come as a guest to a wedding, but see this is a great place to come and have a holiday and stay. So overall, I think it's a really brilliant initiative, and thank you for pitching that tonight.
That's okay. Thanks, Leah.
Thank you so much, judges. That's brilliant. So while the judges now compare notes and deliberate, let's listen to Steve Waite's fireside chat with Justin and Arlene. But before we put over to them, while they get ready, Martin, got to tell me, what's your favourite spot? What's your hidden secret in Port Stephens?
Look, I've got great childhood memories of Ruby Beach and in the Bay. But at the moment, I've really discovered Tomaree Headland. Like the walk to the top, those really wild beaches on the other side, on the eastern side, and the history around the gun emplacements as well. It's got great to look at.
I think I need to go there, and then I'll go back, and then I'll pass by Aviva Cafe on the way back for like a really nice lunch.
Yeah, you have to earn it though. To the top.
Yes, you do. Well, the fire is not in place, but our panel is. Steve, over to you.
Thanks, Lena. Thanks, Martin. And wonderful to be here with you again, Justin, and to have a bit of a fireside chat, get a little bit philosophical. And thank you again, Eileen, for being part of this. And I might start with you, Justin, first. We spoke a little while ago in a not too indifferent set of circumstances in regard to responding to disruption, responding to change. What have you gathered, as you've worked your way through this, about the challenges for the visitor economy, which you know well and truly about? What have you gathered and reflected on?
Yeah, so it's been very interesting looking at going from the very bottom to the very top and everything in between. So I think sort of the two challenges that I've picked up on in most recent times is, first of all, it's being ready to service those customers when they're ready. So being able to scale for a huge volume of people wanting to go away. And I think there's a big wave coming in the coming months as we see lots of people who want to get out and experience summer a bit more. So I think that's the first challenge. And the second challenge is being prepared to operate on a short-term turnaround. So, we've seen our average booking days go from 90 days out to 12. So, being ready to be able to cope with that and be able to have the cash flow in your business to be able to cope with that is a big challenge, because traditionally tourism businesses operate on that long-term book again for next year, have that money ready to go, know that your bookings are coming. We don't know any of that anymore. So that's a big challenge.
Okay. Now, you've got at hand, and I'm going to put you on the spot, but you really have got at hand a real good sense of historical data and a history to base patterns of visitation and activity. What have you seen evolving over this time from, because we were speaking about bushfires, goodness me, what a lot of panic that put into this economy as well. But how have you seen those quarters and those movements, Eileen?
Just looking at last year, obviously the first 2 quarters of the financial year were very strong for us. But then you had a look at the January to March quarter, and we had a massive decline, and that was the impact of the bushfires. And it went from just over 1.1 million nights over that quarter to about 720,000 nights. So that's a drop of 300,000. So that's a massive drop. And, looking at that and then combining that with the onset of COVID and having the lockdown, that really made us decline over that next half. I think that it's really true about the short lead time. That makes it very hard, and we're a marketing organisation trying to drive visitation to our region. So when we plan to be in market we've got to be so agile and so flexible, because I can be planning to go back in market and I can contact the hotels and they're at 93%.
Yes.
So it's very hard to know, and you've just got to have everything ready and be really well planned to be able to react very, very quickly when you need to.
So the dynamics have changed significantly. For you, Justin, with your business, and I spoke to Eileen about this earlier, have you seen a different set of customers coming towards you?
Well, I think, everybody just wants a holiday at the moment. So, we were very focused on families and school holidays. And, that's certainly, a big part of our business, and that continues. But I think, we've seen a lot more younger people, a lot of, out of peak time. So, as a business, the low periods for the camping industry, we try to, get anywhere above 10% utilisation is good, because most of our efforts are done in those peak times. So, we're closer to 20 at the moment, so it's double in those sort of out of peak times. And so, there's new people coming in that haven't been to these locations before. They haven't done this type of holiday before. So it's educating the market where you can go, what you can do, and then looking at the out of peak times as a great option as well.
I'm going to get to sort of wrapping up with this sort of last reflection for us all to think about and to comment on, and that is, some of this isn't going to leave us. It's some aspects of this experience on the way that customers behave, on the way that businesses present and provide products and services will remain. What do you think it is of this time that might be the difference that could stay with us as a result of this?
Well, I'm hoping that, people in New South Wales have discovered their own backyard and really want to spend more time in it and see how beautiful it is. There is a lot of experiences that people can do within a 3 to 4 hour drive of where they live. And I think a lot of times they were travelling overseas or interstate. So we're hoping that they really have gone out there and discovered it, and that we will get a lot of repeat visitation. I really believe that will happen. So I think that's a real benefit that's come out of it, that people have been made to travel in their own state, and I think they're going to have a lot of great experiences. And they also share their stories with their friends and family. So, the message will get out there as well.
Now, we know when we spoke before as well that Airbnb made a significant change to their business model to a 3-hour customer, with regard to a radius. But given what I said about the changes, what do you think is going to stay with us as a result of this disruption?
Yeah, it's interesting. I reflect back on when I went to Paris a few years ago and saw the Mona Lisa, and how disappointed I was at this tiny little painting, I should say, tiny little painting that you think is this enormous thing, and you get there and there's 1 million people trying to look at it, and you get a little tiny view of it, and that's it, you're done, and you've gone all the way to Paris to see that. And I hope that what we do is look for better experiences, and not try to take the road less travelled. Yes. And try to explore things, have more time with your family, have more time with your connections, and not have to do the same things that everybody does on their holiday. I think that would be a great change that we can take out of this.
Yep. So anything to say in closing on a reflection of what we've heard tonight and about where we're at? Anything else you'd like to share?
I really like that comment you just made, and talking about people really going back to the simpler things in life and enjoying time with their friends and family. I think that's going to be really important to us moving forward as well.
All right, well, thank you guys for the fireside chat, a little bit of philosophical, navel gazing and working our way through what this strange time has brought us. It's now for me to throw back to Martin and to Lena and go from there.
Thanks, Steve. Maybe just a quick comment from me. What a joy it's been to be part of this program, and my participants and the pitchees. I've just gone, I'm really, really proud of you. Just straight down the camera at you. I'm sure Lena is too. We'll just pass over to our judges now to give their shout outs and special mentions. So amongst our judges, who would like to go? Well, there's still conversation. But anyone would like to go first about?
Hello. Well, we're not here to actually to give this project a winner. We thought everyone did an amazing job, and every project was so different, apart from the wedding guys. So we thought we'd give a couple of shout outs to each of the different categories. So we were asked to look at this in terms of the impact, the market potential of the presentation today. So we'll go to the middle one, the market potential. We gave a shout out to Alicia with the horse riding. We just thought that with the work from home movement at the moment, we just think there's a massive potential there, and hopefully one day you'll struggle to fill your spaces. And so I guess you're only as scalable as big as your farm is, but we thought that was a shout out for that area. And Daryl as well, we think that the scalability in particular of your project, whilst you said you don't need a huge amount of people there, as you've got a very successful school already, I think it's highly scalable. If you get it right with that small number of students early on, I don't see why this couldn't be a great niche within that distance ed and online learning field. So shout out under that market potential.
So the shout out we thought under visitor economy was Jay, with the potential for those large scale events going forward. We think, there's definitely a lot of potential there, and the impact that will have on our visitor economy, I think, will be quite huge. So that was a shout out, and also for Katie for the weddings, the training, and the being able to get in there and do the health checks and look at sort of the expansion of that wedding economy in Port Stephens. Definitely a huge boost to our visitor economy. So that's our two shout outs there.
And I thought, Katie, you put numbers to it. Well done. It sounds massive when you give it a couple of $1 million like that. And then for the presentation, everyone presented really well today, and I think it did help you get to do a pre-prepared presentation, but well done. And I think all your PowerPoints were great, and it was really clearly understandable what we received today. We gave a special mention, though, to JC, who came in with such enthusiasm. We're ready to sign up after our first candidate. And then Leah as well. Leah knows her stuff and has a really great product and service, and I think it really shines through that you know your product, you know it well, and you've got a great product to offer. So thank you. It was wonderful to listen. And I think there's some other feedback we'll be able to give offline to all the candidates if anyone needs any help or further commentary. But I think you're well on the way to what you're trying to achieve. And I'm sure these guys will put us in touch if necessary.
Thank you so much, guys. Fantastic. And congratulations, team. You did it. What a mammoth effort you put in. And look at where you're at. Big round of applause for you. Does any of you have anything you'd like to say before we start our thank yous and closing words of the night? Putting you all on the spot. I'm talking to you participants. Yeah. I thought you might, JC.
I just want to say what an amazing opportunity. I think where this started and where it sort of progressed has been way more involved and unearthing than anything that than any of us ever expected. And the invaluable, advice. There was times I know when I was ready to give up and I thought, I don't really understand what's happening here. And, my one-on-ones with Leah always gave me so much clarity. And what I love about this particular program is it unearths ideas that are in us as business owners that are relevant, because sometimes when you get coaching or something, they kind of go through a stock standard series of recommendations. But that's the difference, I think, with this, is that it was very personalized, and you really kind of I'm a bit like a dog with a bone now with this particular idea, because I can see it's got traction. It's something I'm passionate about. So I'm not just doing something for doing sake. It's actually got a purpose behind it. So, for me personally, and I know a lot of the other participants had a similar sort of experience, I just think, it's an invaluable thing to continue doing. And thanks to Destination Port Stephens for sponsoring us.
Beautiful.
I'd like to say that a lot of us are actually communicating outside of our meetings because we're sharing our address book, our contacts for the different groups. So we're all passionate about promoting Port Stephens, and so each of us can help each other get the goal that we want for the area. So thanks for the opportunity. It's been great.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Leah. I have found this whole experience so beneficial. When you work on your own and there's so much in your head, the benefits of speaking to somebody with knowledge and guide that can guide you and give you their opinion that's informed and has such a lovely way of doing it. We continue doing. So I would like to thank Destination Port Stephens for the opportunity. It's been fantastic.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys. Before we let Steve close the night, I'd like to also give my thanks to Port Stephens Council for, first of all, giving Martin and myself the opportunity to work with these amazing people. They really have put in so much effort and trying to get through this winter that has been just tumultuous, to say the least. Of course, I'd like to thank Destination Port Stephens for sponsoring the education part of the program, and just team, you've been absolutely amazing. And I know that this is the start for you, and we are so stoked to keep working with you. It's been an absolute honour to be on this journey with you, to continue this journey with you, and to host this graduation night. And I know Martin agrees with me. So for everyone there at home, thank you for tuning in, and have a lovely rest of the evening. Steve, you get to close it off.
Thanks very much, Lena. Thank you for all of your work, and Martin for the work that you've done with the participants. It was very humbling to hear those stories, and I can only empathise, having been in business and understood all the challenges and the ups and downs, and the lonely evenings staring at the ceiling thinking, how do I get through this? But to then throw COVID on top of that, it's wonderful that you've been able to stay together. Please stay connected to each other and stay connected to us. I'd also like to thank our judges, Andrew, Leah and Justin, for the generosity of their time. And we of course recognise our partners in Port Stephens Council and the Destination Group as well. Thank you, Eileen, for all of your work and your leadership and support of the participants. Lastly, I guess for us, we want to emphasise that we are here for the long haul at the Business Centre. We're a long-standing, not-for-profit organisation here to help people through all parts of business. We understand the vulnerabilities of that, and we are here for the long game. So please don't ever hesitate to contact us so that we can help you and connect you to people that can help you. And lastly, I guess, a catch cry for us often is when an opportunity comes along in business, and this goes for the participants tonight, sometimes hastening slowly is some good advice. That sometimes you just need to get there quick, but get there quick slowly, which contradicts itself, but it's a very full of wisdom adage that I think has stood the test of time. Hasten slowly. So thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the evening, and we very much look forward to doing this once again. Thank you, everyone.